What up, troop? Good morning. 3 a.m. for me on this brisk as hell Monday. Interesting story. Very interesting weekend. Of all the other things that happened, on top of that, we began the day yesterday at around, 46 to 50 degrees. Rainstorms, God knows what, blowing sideways, man. All the snow that we had and all the ice that we had completely melted. And then by, I think it was around 10-ish in the morning, we, everything, the bottom dropped out, man. We dropped down to 40 degrees and then to 35 degrees. And then ultimately down to like 20. Everything turned into sleet and then to snow, and then we lost power because of the extreme winds that we had. Oh my gosh, you guys, it was like, it was like freaking 50 to 65 mile an hour plus gusts that we had. And we lost power. So I got to fire up the brand new fancy pants generator, and lazy me didn't feel like going down to the shop to get any gas. So being that it's the the dual fuel that I got this fall, I decided, well, I'm going to hook up that propane line and bust out one of my little 20-pounders, right? So I did, and it worked great for like 3.5, 4 hours. Until the tank started icing up. And so I had to go out there and shake the tank up a little bit, beat it up a little bit, and then it worked fine. But at that point, I realized that, like in the past, I had tried using propane on one of those propane torpedoes down in my workshop in winters past, and the same thing had happened to me then also. So I switched back over to gasoline yesterday and didn't have a problem since. So I guess the lesson learned here, once again, is that propane, at least in terms of the smaller tanks, is not a good prep for the winter, all right? So if you're going to run propane on your generator with a portable bottle, I think that you may want to consider at the very least, like about a 40-pounder on up, probably a 40-pound to 100-pound bottle. Something you can still, wield around, man, when you got to go get it filled up. So, little bit of advice, don't bother using a 20-pounder when it's cold as shit outside, because it ain't going to work. At least not, like you think it would. Funny part is, it's now, like I said, 3 a.m.-ish. And that sucker's been running on gas for, since like noon of yesterday. And I figured, well, once we got power, power came back on sometime probably early in the AM, earlier than right now, that is, probably sometime around midnight or 1-ish. And so I just went down to the office to get my tripod to put the phone on here. And that sucker's still out there running, man, in the garage. Generator's still running. Thankfully, it has that idle control on it, where you could just flip the button. And idle control engages where it goes down to a really, very small, comfortable idle. I figured that, when power came on last night, that I'd go downstairs and I'd switch over back to the grid power, which I did. And I'd just let the generator run out. And then even though the key would still be in the on position, I'd just put the trickle charger on it and yada, yada, yada. But man, I'm pretty impressed. That sucker's still running out there. So in a minute, I got to go out there and turn her off and roll up the cable. Everything will be good. But yeah, real interesting day yesterday, man. No power. Thankfully, have this. as I have for many years now, and this thing has paid itself off in dividends, man. Let me tell you. Jeez, oh Pete's. The only thing that I don't have any longer is my access to firewood, man. So that's a little bit of an issue, and that's part of the reason for the new house thing out there at the river, because there's lots of firewood out there. And even should I run out on my own personal property, there's plenty of resources where I could purchase firewood. Know what I'm saying? And also I'm trying to downsize so I can better heat the house. But this house right here is 2,200 square feet. This sucker heats the whole thing, with exception to the basement. So what else happened yesterday? Yeah, no internet either. When you have a grid down out here, our internet service provider does not have a backup of any kind on their tower, their main tower, which I can actually see from my house. They don't have any kind of backup on there, so no internet. No, nothing. And I used up all my my allowance on my Verizon plan as far as data. So that kind of sucked. And then as far as looking for things to do, man, it's like, what are you going to do when it's blowing sideways upwards of 60 plus mile an hour gusts outside, and I'm looking outside the door right now, and it's still at it, man. And it's Arctic frickin' tundra all over again. I don't know why I live here. I've lived in Michigan 50 years, man, and you'd think that I'd be used to it, but absolutely not. So nothing really exciting to talk about. I just wanted to share with you guys this interesting weekend. I guess it's really nothing unusual. I mean, Michigan is... we're like this, man. It happens. It's weird weather all the time, summer, winter. But as far as that propane, yeah, it's a good prep for any other season apart from winter. So I'm going to have to go back to what I used to do, man, and store gasoline for the winter. I mean, that's what I've always done. I've always stocked up at least 80 gallons. At the end of every fall, I stock about 80 gallons of gasoline for times like this, and also the power like the wood splitter and chainsaws and whatever, just to have the gasoline on hand. And yes, I do preserve it very well. But now so the propane will be good for other seasons aside from winter, and gasoline will be good for winter time. So back to the drawing board, I guess, for that. But on a good note, the new generator works awesome, man. What a great investment that was. So I just wanted to share with you guys that I got to use one of my preps, man. Now, is it indefinite resource? Like if there was a full-blown grid down for God knows how long, well, in the dead of winter, it'd be a bit of a problem. I think at that point I'd have to tap into my propane tank underground, which is a 500 gallon. But then, should I run out of firewood, I have to rely upon the furnace which also burns propane. So, it's just one thing after another. And trying to be self-sufficient. But, I just have to constantly remind myself that I am many steps ahead of many others in that respect. But that doesn't negate me to become lax, as I had the other day, by not carrying my sidearm when a deer needed my help. In which case, a lot of you said, go out there and clobber it on the head with it. Well, you know what, man? I mean, my neighbor, who's an avid hunter, he's tried that also. And the deers have just popped up and bolted with busted legs and all. And then some of you had said, well, use your knife or use your hands or anything. Well, that is not very quick, all right? And we have to remember that there was a little child around. So that would have involved, Mom, put your hands over your daughter's ears, bang, put it out, it's done, you know. But whatever. I'm rambling now. 10 minutes of your life wasted on hearing me ramble. Just sharing with you guys the interesting weekend I had. I'll make another video today, unrelated to this kind of stuff. So you guys have a great day. Till then, see you.